Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I am here to bring you a battle between two Innistrad Midnight Hunt Seal decks and the Battle of the Horde challenge deck from Born of the Gods. We have an Izzet deck here and a Simic deck here, and if you check the links in the description box below you can find videos where I built these decks. We're going to be playing two games against the Battle of the Horde challenge deck, first on normal difficulty with 3 turns before the Horde attacks, and then on hard mode. And for these battles we're going to be using 3 hero cards. We have the Harvester, which says tap, draw a card, then discard a card. The Explorer, which says you may play an additional land on each of your turns. And the Vanquisher, which says your starting hand size is increased by 1, your maximum hand size is increased by 1. Since I only have 1 copy of each of these cards, I'm going to be applying their effects to both decks simultaneously. Go ahead and get started by drawing our opening hands. Izzet draws an Island, Grafted Identity, Stolen Vitality, Startle, Revenge of the Drowned, Island, Mountain, and Mountain. There's actually no creatures here, which is not very good for a deck that needs something on the ground to apply these cards to. So we are going to mulligan this, and because it's multiplayer we get 1 free mulligan. Now we have a Mountain, a Moonrager Slash, a Baithook Angler, a Storm Skrillex, a Startle, a Geistflame Reservoir, and a Grafted Identity. I cannot cast any of the blue cards with these mountains, and I think that means that we're going to have to mulligan again to see if we can draw a more functional hand. Now we have an Island, an a Mountain, an Island, a Geistflame Reservoir, Burn the Accursed Island. This is just too many lands. We're going to have to mulligan down to 6. Now we have a Mountain, Revenge of the Drowned, Island, Grafted Identity, Evolving Wilds, Mountain, and Stolen Vitality. Again, there's pretty much no action here. This deck is not going to be functional with this hand, and so we're going to mulligan down to 5. Now we have an Island, a Storm Skrillex, a Mountain, a Grafted Identity, Burn the Accursed, Mountain, and Geistflame Reservoir. I think at this point we're going to have to keep this hand because at least we have our colors and something we can eventually cast. So we'll keep this and we'll put the Mountain, a Grafted Identity, Burn the Accursed into the bottom of the deck with Burn the Accursed on top, and hope that we can draw it into more functional hands. Simic draws a Forest, an Island, a Clear Shot, a Wrenn and Seven, an Island, a Forest, an Otherworldly Gaze, and an Island. This is also a pretty bad hand because there's nothing that we can do early, but I think the Otherworldly Gaze makes this a bit more reasonable here, so we will keep this hand. Because this is multiplayer, we draw on our opening turns. Izzet draws a Covetous Castaway. Simic draws a Forest. We'll play an Island and a Forest, and a Island, and a Mountain. We'll tap these 2 to cast the Covetous Castaway. This is a 1/3 human, and when it dies, mill 3 cards, and you can disturb it for 3 blue. And then we're gonna pass a turn here. We'll cast Otherworldly Gaze at the end of the opponent's turn. At the end of the turn, we're going to cast Otherworldly Gaze. This is an instant. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put any number of them into your graveyard and the rest back on top of your library in any order. So we are looking at a Wrenn and Seven, a Hound Tamer, and a Sludge Monster. Well, we don't want another Wrenn and Seven because even the first one might be pushing it for this deck, so we'll put that here. And then the Hound Tamer we can cast next turn, so we want that. And the Sludge Monster we will probably also be putting aside because we don't really need that as well. So we'll keep this on top. And then at the end of the turn we'll use the Harvester. Izzet draws a Startle and we'll discard the Startle. Simic draws the Hound Tamer and we will discard one of the Islands. Izzet draws a Mountain. Simic draws a Locked in the Cemetery. We'll play an Island and a Forest over here. Tap 3 and cast the Hound Tamer. This is a 3/3 human werewolf with trample. 3 and green, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it has Daybound. It is now day. Here we're going to play the Mountains, and we'll tap everything and cast the Storm Skrillex. Then we'll go to combat and we'll attack with the Covetous Castaway for 1. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. It draws a Festival Crasher, and I think the Geist Flame Reservoir is going to be too slow, so we're actually going to discard that. Simic draws a Shadow Beast Sighting. We're going to discard the Locked in the Cemetery. It draws a Poppet Stitcher, and Simic draws a Nibelgast Intruder. Simic will play a Forest. It will tap 3 and cast the Poppet Stitcher. This is a 2/3 human wizard. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with deceased at the beginning of your upkeep. If you control 3 or more creature tokens, you may transform Poppet Stitcher. Over here, we'll tap out and cast Wrenn and Seven. This is a 5 loyalty legendary Wrenn Planeswalker. +1, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all land cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. For 0, put any number of land cards from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. For -3, create a green Treefolk creature token with reach, and this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. And for -8, return all permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. You get an emblem with you have no maximum hand size. We will immediately -3 to get the Treefolk. Then we'll go to combat, and we will attack with the Hound Tamer, the Covetous Castaway, and the Storm Skrillex for 6 damage. And then we will pass to the Horde. The Horde will cast the top 3 cards. We have a Plundered Statue. This is an artifact. At the beginning of the Horde's pre-combat main phase, reveal an additional card from the top of the Horde's library. The Horde casts that card, and when it is put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player draws a card. We have a Minotaur Younghorn. This is a 2/2 Minotaur with haste and attacks each turn to Fable. Finally, we have a Mogus Chosen. It's a 5/4 Minotaur. It enters the battlefield tapped and attacks each turn to Fable. Will be attacked by the 2/2, which will bump into the Treefolk and perish. At the end of the turn, we will use the Harvester. It draws a Moonrager Slash, and we'll discard the Festival Crasher. Simic draws a Forest, and we will discard the Shadow Beast Sighting. It draws a Voldaran Ambusher. Simic draws a Candlelit Cavalry. Simic will play a Forest. We're going to +1 Wrenn. We reveal a Forest, an Island, a Timberland Guide, and a Harvesttide Sentry. We'll put the creatures in the graveyard and put the lands into our hand. We'll play our Island as our second land for the turn. Will spend 2 mana to cast Moonrager Slash. This is an instant. It costs 2 less to cast if it's night, and it deals 3 damage to any target. We will target the Horde's deck, and this will trigger the Storm Skrillex to get +2/+0, making it a 4/4. And the Poppet will also trigger, and we will get a zombie. We'll spend 3 mana over here to cast Clear Shot. This is an instant. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. It deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. We will make the Treefolk an 8/8, which will blow up the Mogus Chosen. Then we'll go to combat, and we'll swing with everything that can attack. That is 19 damage. We have an Altar of Mogus. It's an artifact. When it is put into a graveyard from anywhere, the Horde sacrifices 2 Minotaurs. There are none to sacrifice. Then Refreshing Elixir. It's an artifact. When it is put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player gains 5 life. Will gain 10 life to go up to 30. We have a Massacre Totem. It says when it's put into a graveyard from anywhere, put the top 7 cards of the Horde's library into its graveyard. We hit a Plundered Statue. It's an artifact. It says when it's put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player draws a card. It draws a Geist Wave. Simic draws a Bounding Wolf. It will immediately cast this Geist Wave. It's an instant. Return target non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. If you control that permanent, draw a card. We will bounce the Plundered Statue, which immediately goes to the graveyard. And will draw a Mountain. Simic will draw a Slogurk the Overslime. Play the Mountain. Simic will tap out and play Slogurk the Overslime. This is a 3/3 legendary ooze with trample. Whenever the land card is put into a graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on Slogurk the Overslime. Remove 3 +1/+1 counters from Sloker to return to its owner's hand. When it leaves the battlefield, return up to 3 target land cards from your graveyard to your hand. Then we'll pass to the Horde. The Horde will cast the top 3 cards. We have a Phobos Reaver. It's a 2/3 Minotaur with haste and attacks each turn of Fable. Minotaur Younghorn. And Touch of the Horn God. This is sorcery. Whenever a Minotaur attacks this turn, it gains Death Touch until end of turn. So we absorbed all this life. We'll just let them swing and take us down to 26. At the end of turn, we'll use the Harvester. It draws a Galvanic Iteration, and we'll discard the Voldarian Ambusher. Simic draws a Gale Drifter, and we will discard the Gale Drifter. It draws an Arcane Infusion. Simic draws a Forest. We will play out both forests here. This makes the Tree Folk a 9/9. It will spend 2 mana and cast Arcane Infusion. It's an instant. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an instant or sorcery card from among them. Put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. It has flashback for 3 blue and red. We have 2 lands, a Stormrider Spirit and a Revenge of the Drowned. We will put the Revenge of the Drowned into our hand and the rest on the bottom in a random order. This will trigger the Storm Skrillex to become a 4/4. We'll get another zombie from the Poppet Stitcher. Over here, I don't think we have anything that we really need to do, and so we will just, for Simic, we will +1 to look at the next 4 cards. We'll take the island into our hand and we'll put the rest into the yard. We'll go to combat and swing with the whole team, minus the decaying zombie. That is 22 damage. We hit a refreshing elixir. We'll gain another 10 life to go up to 36. We hit a Vitality Salve as an artifact. It says when it's put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player returns a creature card from his or her graveyard to the battlefield. We have creatures in the graveyard, so let's go ahead and do that. It will return the Voldaren Ambusher. This is a 2/2 Vampire Archer. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent lost life this turn, it deals X damage to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker where X is the number of vampires you control. The opponent effectively lost life this turn, but the 1 damage it would do is meaningless, so we'll not worry about that. Simic will play the Burly Breaker. This is a 6/5 human werewolf with Ward 1 and Daybound. Then we'll spend 5 mana to cast the Candlelit Cavalry. This is a 5/5 human knight with Coven at the beginning of combat on your turn. If you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, it gains trample until end of turn. Don't think there's any reason to cast anything else. I think we're going to win on the following turn, so we'll pass to the Horde. The Horde taps and will immediately attack with their 2 creatures running into the Candlelit Cavalry and their Burly Breaker and defeating the Horde themselves. And that is normal difficulty. We will be right back for hard mode. Alright everybody, we are back for hard mode. We will only have 2 turns before the Horde attacks. We will go ahead and get started by drawing our opening hands. It draws an Island, Bait-Hooked Angler, Burn the Accursed, Mountain, Startle, Purifying Dragon, Mountain, and Arcane Infusion. This is a reasonable first hand. We'll keep it. Simic draws a Wrenn and Seven, Forest, Candlelit Cavalry, Forest, Eccentric Farmer, Forest, Clear Shot, and Timberland Guide. You know what? The Eccentric Farmer makes this hand reasonable because we can get the other land back if we are looking for a blue. We'll go ahead and start here. It draws an island. Simic draws an island. We can go ahead and play the island and the forest over here, and an island and a mountain over here. We'll tap 2 to cast the Bait-Hook Angler. This is a 2/1 human peasant with Disturb 1 and blue. We'll tap 2 to cast the Timberland Guide. This is a 1/1 human scout, and when it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. We will target itself. And then we'll pass the turn. We'll use the Harvester. It draws a mountain, and we will discard the Startle. Simic draws a Snarling Wolf, and we will discard the Snarling Wolf. It draws an island. Simic draws a forest. We will play 2 forests, and we will play an island and a mountain. is it will spend 2 mana to cast Arcane Infusion. We hit no instants and sorceries, so we will put them on the bottom of our library. We'll go to combat and swing with the teams. This does 4 damage to the Horde. Then we will spend 3 mana over here to cast the Eccentric Farmer. This is a 2/3 human peasant, and when it enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards, then return a land card from your graveyard to the hand. We take the forest and put it into our hand. We have no more actions that we are capable of taking, so we will pass to the Horde. The Horde will cast the top 3 cards. We have a Minotaur Goreseeker. It's a 3/2 Minotaur with haste and attacks each turn Fable. A Reckless Minotaur. It's a 4/1 Minotaur with haste. It attacks each turn Fable, and at the beginning of the end step, destroy it. And a Intervention of Karanos. Sorcery. At the beginning of combat this turn, it deals 3 damage to each creature. So you go to combat, and each creature will die. We'll use the Harvester. It draws an Unblinking Observer, and we'll discard that. Simic draws an island, and we will discard the Clear Shot. It draws a Stolen Vitality. Simic draws a Shadow Beast Sighting. It will play the island and the mountain. And I think we just simply play the Putrefying Dragon. This is a 4/3 dragon with flying. When it attacks, it deals 1 damage to target creature defending player controls. If that creature is a zombie, it deals 2 damage to it. Simic will play out 2 forests. And I think we just play Wrenn and Seven. We'll -3, get the Tree Folk, which enters as a 6/6. And then we'll pass to the Horde. The Horde casts a Consuming Rage. Whenever a Minotaur attacks this turn, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Destroy that creature at the end of combat. We have a Minotaur Goreseeker and a Phobos Reaver. It's a 2/3 Minotaur with haste. It attacks each turn of Fable. They both attack as a 5/2 and a 4/3. We can block the 5/2 with the 6/6 Tree Folk. We'll take 4 from the Phobos Reaver to go down to 16, and then both of these will die. And then the turn we'll use the Harvester. It draws a Geist Wave, and we will discard the Stolen Vitality. Simic draws a Burly Breaker, and we will discard the Shadow Beast Sighting. It draws a Mountain. Simic draws a Slowgork the Overslime. Simic will play the Island. It will play the Mountain. Don't have a whole lot to do, we just go swinging. Wrenn will tick up. Everything goes into the graveyard. We'll go ahead and go swinging for 7 with the Tree Folk and 4 with the Putrefying Dragon for 11 damage. We hit a Refreshing Elixir. We'll gain 10 life to go up to 26. Then we'll spend 5 mana and cast the Burly Breaker. We'll pass to the Horde. They cast a Plundered Statue, a Intervention of Karanos, and a Minotaur Younghorn. The Intervention of Karanos will trigger, and we'll take out the Minotaur Younghorn, as well as the Putrefying Dragon. At the end of the turn, it will tap and cast Geist Wave, targeting the Plundered Statue. It draws a Galvanic Iteration, and Simic will draw an island. It draws a Poppet Stitcher, and Simic will draw a Howl of the Hunt. Simic will play the island, and we will +1 Wrenn. We have the Locked in Cemetery, Otherworldly Glaze, and Tireless Hauler going to the graveyard, and the island going into our hand. We'll play the island as our second land for the turn, making the Tree Folk a 9/9. We'll go to combat and swing with the 9/9 and the 6/6 for 15 damage. We hit an Altar of Mogus, but there are no Minotaurs to sacrifice. It will tap 3 and cast the Poppet Stitcher. Simic will cast the Slowgurk, and the Candlelit Cavalry will pass to the Horde. They cast a Phobos Reaver, a Plundered Statue, and a Phobos Reaver. These 2 will attack. They will die at the hands of Slowgurk and the Candlelit Cavalry. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. is it draws a Storm Skrillex, and we will discard Burn the Accursed. Simic draws a Consider, and we will discard Of the Hunt. Izzet draws an island. Simic draws a forest. Izzet will play the island. Simic will play the forest. We'll +1 Wrenn. We put the 2 forests into our hands, and the Bounding Wolf and the Gale Drifter into the graveyard. Play the other forest. Go to combat and swing with everything that can swing. That's 27 damage. There are only 18 cards left in the Horde's library, so the Horde is officially milled out, and the Midnight Hunt sealed decks defeat the Horde even easier on hard mode than on normal difficulty. And that is the end of our games. Let me know what you thought about them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my videos, you can hit subscribe. This was Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.